Welcome everybody back to another Boldcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Arcane, episode 2. What happened last time?
Last time we got introduced to the story and all the characters, and they robbed a very rich, inventor guy, and now the enforcers are after them, and it's no good because Powder still has all of those special glowing gem things.
Yep. And she'll probably use them to tinker. We had a lot of theories about predictions about where the story's going, about the nature of the whole disagreement that is likely to happen based on the opening between Powder and her sister Vi. And just talking about the whole theming and everything that's been going on to kind of set the stage for the show. Some analysis there. If you're interested in that, check out the last episode if you want to check that out after watching this one, if you haven't checked that out already. If you want to see future episodes, you can check out Patreon. That's linked in the description. Patreon.com/boldcast. You can get uncut reactions there. And at least a week ahead, uncut reactions will probably be a little bit further than the edited reactions, but you can check out all the details there in the description. Patreon.com/boldcast. Other than that, we hope you enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe. Let's get right into the misery. Let's see what happens.
Can't close this.
Well, again, with the record at the beginning, or the reverse record jukebox thing. Hospital? Oh. Is this the other perspective of...
A little dangerous work you risk, don't you think? Careful, that's your parents' money you're dropping.
Who's this guy?
This guy's been hired
Is someone in there?
by some rich people to try and make something.
I think this is his place.
I know he just said that's your parents' money. I don't know if that meaning himself, and that it's. Yikes.
Backstory. Wow. This life is strange too.
Ow.
Oh, ooh. Crystals?
It's kind of crazy.
Controlling the weather. Using a similar stone.
Like a different shape of one. Oh my god.
It's probably the same
It's
element.
teleporting them.
Who the hell is that? That's one of those things if you played the game,
Yeah.
you know exactly what that's about, kind of. Or if you're into the lore.
Who are you anyway?
I'm assistant to the dean of the academy, who it may serve you to remember is also head of the council. He sent me here to ensure that anything dangerous is removed.
He's gonna be one of those hackers that gets drafted by the FBI.
Includes you.
This is who I thought I've seen this guy.
What a curious principle. We can find the physical body. I do love a good conundrum.
I thought that was gonna be his workshop
I remember the first time I saw you.
or his apartment.
You reminded me of myself, a scientist, ready to forge a new vector of experimentation. But sometimes we venture too far. Be honest now. What manner of inquiry was this?
Professor Heimer-Dingrai. I believe I've discovered something truly incredible. A way to harness magic through science.
Magic?
Yes.
No.
No?
The Arcane is dangerous, Jace.
I'm close to a breakthrough, I know it.
How old are you, my boy?
I'm 24.
Ah, well, I am now 307 years old. All my life I've pursued the mysteries of science, only to discover some are better left unsolved. This, I'm afraid, is one of them. Own your mistakes before the council, admit your work was dangerous, but speak nothing of magic. Slap on the wrist.
He's starting to, it seems like he's scratching the surface of like human transmutation type shit where it's just kind of taboo, and it's taboo for a reason, you know? Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing to learn. It just means that it's kind of beyond useful, you know? Or it's probably incredibly useful, but there's a huge
also
cost.
incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
Remind me why we bother with this dump.
Xander said to lay low. This is as good a place as any.
Oh, what's the matter, Milo? You worried Powder's gonna beat you again?
Yeah, Milo.
If she didn't keep fixing these things, I wouldn't keep missing.
He looks so evil. She's gonna be really good at shooting.
Unfortunately, it's not a useful skill for thievery,
Yeah.
really, you know? Unless you're killing people or injuring them so you can get away.
Yeah.
The idea...
It would be good if, you know, you had like something that wouldn't kill people but would like really hurt them.
Like a dart, yeah.
Give me a name.
Wow.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Hide. Maybe a bit late. Please tell me that you don't have that on you. She probably has it in her pocket. Oh my god.
Where else would she put them?
I know.
Just some marbles, sir. They were like illegal. Oh. I wonder if they would know what they are even. These random guys. Shit.
This is really bad because now they're just gonna like.
Now you're on the run.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
You better watch out. I don't want this kid getting arrested too.
We need to hide those crystals. Yeah, no shit.
This one.
That's a child's toy.
Good.
What the hell?
Besides, we're his patrons. If anyone is meant to speak up for him, it's us.
We should hit them.
Alright.
We've got the numbers to beat them.
Yeah.
Let's teach them what it means to mess with us.
Yeah.
You sure that's what you want? We crossed that bridge once before. We all know how that ended.
You're just protecting your kids.
I'm protecting our people. We look out for each other. It's the way it's always been. This will blow over. We need to stand together.
The Vander I knew, the one who built the underground, wouldn't be afraid to fight.
Do I look afraid?
No. You look weak.
We kicked the Enforcer's butts with just the four of us. Imagine what the whole of the lanes could do.
Jeez, even Powder wants to fight.
So why aren't we? Fill it, Echo.
Okay, well, Vander's gotta deal with the Enforcers.
What deal?
The deal is keep you alive. Like it's not a crazy, he's not like a traitor.
But to her.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he's got a deal. It's like, yeah, I don't know what you think the deal could be, but you know.
And I bought you some dingo nuts.
Ah, don't you know I'm allergic? What are you trying to do? Kill an old man?
Well, look at her neck piece. It's crazy.
Close the skylight just to make it way more.
Ominous. He's gonna stand like right in the center of the circle. Oh no, or is it totally going dark? Oh yeah.
It would have been cool if they had just left like a little bit of light.
Alright.
Jace, tell us.
It came to nothing.
So you're saying your study was meaningless?
It was revolutionary.
Revolutionary how?
All I see is a boy meddling with things he doesn't understand.
The Academy seems to have loosened its standards.
This is a finish.
I was trying to create magic.
Magic.
Yeah, but that one lady's gonna be like, yes, this is what we need to be different.
You don't understand what's at stake. But how can you? That's a burden that only I here carry. Time.
What has bro seen? Whoa.
Some crazy...
Was that the guy? Is that the fucking guy? Is that the fucking guy that he saw?
That cannot happen here, my boy. It must not.
Heimerdinger is right. But as a mother, I have a voice that matters deeply. My son isn't in his right mind. His entire life he's chased an impossible dream. What he did was foolish and unwise. But he has a good heart. Please, let him come home.
The boy must be punished.
A violation
She's a lot like
of
Vander,
the
his
laws
mom.
for vandalism.
Similar kind of theme there, similar kind of idea.
With a young man's dream to change the world. I move that Jace be summarily expelled from the academy and remanded to the care of his parents. All those in favor?
Because she saw the magic firsthand, so she knows what it's capable of and that it can be used for good or whatever, but she's just trying to save him. So it doesn't matter what the truth is, that what matters is that we survive together.
You may take your son home, Mrs. Tanis. He is never to set foot on academy grounds again.
Sucks.
Yeah, he doesn't need him.
Yeah, he's gonna be now even worse now that he's just by himself. But he won't have any money, so...
Maybe he'll meet up with the girls. Last of Us? What the hell is this?
That's-
Oh, it's the guy. It's the guy.
Oh, he's so creepy.
He reminds me of the crooked man from
It better be worth my time.
Wolf Among Us.
You see, that's your weakness, Marcus. You carry your chin so high, you fail to see the opportunity below.
Who are you?
You're looking for four children. The ones running circles round Pildover's finest.
I couldn't convince the council. If my own family won't help me, I'll find someone who will.
It's kind of the same thing with the girls in Vander. Pretty much the exact same situation.
Boy,
I must admit.
come tomorrow morning, his research will be safely disposed of. Lock up.
It's gonna...
No. Magic is far too dangerous and wrong.
That's how it really falls into the wrong hands.
Yeah. Crazy shark. Oh boy, here we go.
Beautiful, aren't
Jab him in the neck with a fucking...
you? Yet, up there, on the surface,
Whoa.
no one even knows they exist.
They're injecting the fish.
There's a monster inside all of us.
And that's...
What? No. No, it'll kill me.
It's time to let the monster out.
Never surround yourselves with guys with sunken cheeks and cheekbones that won't quit. It's a bad time.
And what is all this, like, fungus they have growing around all over the place?
Last of Us. It's crazy with that, like, what looks like a subway system in that whole, like, underground area. It's like clearly this whole city has seen better days. I mean, that's obvious. It seems obvious, but like...
No good now.
We're doing our best, Counselor, I assure you.
Your attitude makes me question if your best is up to the task.
All right, you can do it.
Don't worry. Just find them.
It's always the second in command. It's always the guy who's the second in command who's just like, oh, maybe I can do something about this. Whether it's Vi, or whether it's that dude, or whether it's the fucking vice teacher guy. Everybody's like, oh, the leader has like a clear rule set, but I'm not going to follow it.
What can I do?
Oh boy.
4 sump rats will do. Search the place.
While you're wasting your time, how about a proper drink?
I'll take the strongest shit you got.
I like that he has like a panic button, but instead of to like call someone to help him, it's to
Tell them to
tell
leave.
them to get out. Freaky.
Nearly forgot. I ran into an old friend of yours. He had some stories. You weren't always the peacekeeper, were you?
Yeah, well, you can't escape the past. Right? Here's shame if I had to put them on again. Cast irons, well, it's hard to clean.
That's crazy. He just has them hanging up there. Oh no.
Oh jeez.
They have like better handles or something up there.
I just think she got there late.
Yeah. Come on. Like 2 more seconds. Like 1 more second. Just opens the door again.
Yeah.
You people down here are all the same. Mistaking arrogance for bravery. You think you're standing up for something? But we all know there is a crime behind every coin that passes through this place. You're just a small man in a little hole the world forgot to bury. And I'm gonna bury the lot of you.
Sure thing.
Do they pay you enough for this? Like.
Yeah, exactly. You're about to get murdered in a fucking bar somewhere, man.
You all okay?
No, we're not okay. They almost saw Powder. What if they took her?
No one is taking any of you. Never let that happen.
It's already happening. You heard him. They won't stop. We need to fight back. And if you won't, I will.
I've heard this kind of talk before.
Is it Thanos? This episode is decidedly more quiet and like somber than the first one.
What, how you can work with them. We were here. We saw what they did. I grew up knowing I'm less than them. That my place is down there. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it.
So was I. I was angry.
All the people who died on this bridge.
I led us across this bridge, thinking things could change. If I hadn't, your parents would still be alive. I know you want to hurt the topsiders for what they've done to us. But who are you willing to lose? Milo? Claire? Powder? Nobody wins in war, Vi.
You have no enemies. You have no enemies, Vi.
What are we gonna do? The enforcers will come back.
I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Is he gonna kill himself? He's got a suicide note in his wristband there. I feel like that's not high enough.
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
Am I interrupting?
You see, I am a crooked, skinny man, and I want to use your power.
But only because you signed your note every page, I might add. A little egotistical, don't you think?
Is that why you came? To insult me?
Signs every page of his own private journal.
Yes, well, I wanted to talk about your work. This hex tech theory of yours.
It's not a theory. I saw with my own eyes what magic can do. The lives it can save.
When you're going to change the world, don't ask for permission.
I don't even know your name.
It's Victor.
Victor Frankenstein.
Look, I made her for the enforcers. These are smoke bombs, and those two are full of nails. They're gonna work this time. I know it.
Me too. You know,
She seized it.
what makes you different makes you strong. Always remember that, okay?
She's gonna go sacrifice. Think she's gonna go and sacrifice herself. That's why she got the bunny. She's gonna go seize the bunny for herself.
What are you thinking? Do you have any idea what you've done?
I was getting results. You are the
You
council.
literally
You
got
were
zero
ruining the
results.
piece.
What happens now?
You were ruining the piece. Oh,
Oh boy.
Maybe it's not too late.
it is too late. He's gonna turn himself in to try and save them, but it's too late because everybody's ready to fight now. He's gonna use his Chekhov's gauntlets here in a second, probably.
She's the one that sent in the thing.
Oh,
not him.
shit. I'm so dumb. I didn't even think of it. Well. It's an interesting... Oh, no. That's an interesting solution to that whole thing. That, like, she's like... Because the whole thing, like, we talked about last time with the bunny being ripped away from her, this thing that she loved, and now it's out of reach. She's waiting for a higher power to come down and give it back to her, but she realized she has to seize it for herself. Doing, like, that metaphor being applied to her sacrificing herself to stop everything going on is very interesting and not what I expected her to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's like she basically got given the option of, like, you know, you're want to make all of these big moves, but you might, like, lose everything that you're trying to, like, help in the first place. So she decides to turn herself in so that nothing happens to Powder. Meanwhile, Powder's just, you know, all sad and sitting at the table, with her special bunny and stuff. It's, yeah.
And yeah, so there's all this theming this episode. Well, it's kind of a continuation of what the story's already been about, but they're putting a lot of emphasis on what I like to call the elephant graveyard test of I don't know, there's a better word for it in like literature or whatever, but I can't remember it, but I always think of it as the elephant graveyard test, where it's like Mufasa, he's sitting up there with Simba, and he's like, everything that the light touches is ours, except that fucking elephant graveyard over there. That's death. Don't go there. But the implication, thematically, in that is like, you know, you need to
Go there.
You need to go there. Like, yeah, it's like all these boundaries are set up for you as, you know, in a coming of age story and just in your life, that you need to like all these rules and all these, like, you know, clear things that you're not supposed to do. And often where you don't want to look is where you'll find what you need. And that's kind of a common thing in, like, in storytelling a lot.
Yeah.
So, like, every single person is like, oh, you're the magic. It's don't do the magic. And then he's like, I'm going to do the magic. And then the second in command is like, oh, professor, you say not to do the magic. He's like, yes, don't do the magic. You can't do the magic. He's like, well, what if we can do the magic? And then they both do the magic. And then they're like, oh, we got to fight. And then Mandarin's like, we can't fight. That's not what we got to do. And then Vi's just like, we got to do something. We got to fight. And then I guess it didn't quite turn out exactly like that. But, and then Powder's kind of similar thing. She's all getting better at shooting. She's all getting better at fixing stuff. She's like fixing all the lights in that place, and she's got a gun now, or not a real gun, but like she was very accurate with all that stuff. So she's, you know, learning how to fight, even though apparently fighting is what we're not supposed to do. And then the young, is his name Marcus? The young guard guy, the lieutenant guy, he's just like, like his commanding officer's like, don't do this. He's like, I gotta do this.
He's like, I need to get results. I'm like, what is your salary? Are you commission based?
Yeah.
Do you make money by, like, getting the results fast? I mean, I guess you probably get a promotion.
I think he just takes pride in his job, and he.
I feel like he thinks that having deals like with all of these like peasants in his eyes. It's just like he's like, why bother? We're above them anyway, so like they have to do what we say. Why do we need to have deals with him? He doesn't like take into account, you know, what that means, but he also doesn't really see any of these people as people. He's just like, oh, these are like scum beneath my feet, and you know, let's just get rid of them all.
Yeah,
because I don't care.
Well, because they're different as well. Because there's this literal divide in the city, and it's
and it's this whole thing of like, you know, he rolls in and he's like, you guys are all criminals, and it's just like, well, you know, you're kind of forcing us to live this life by sequestering us to like the poor area of town, and like giving us terrible living conditions. You know, but you're coming in here, breaking down doors, flying around all over the place, lighting the countertop on fire.
Well, he thinks that he's like fighting an enemy. Like he sees them as an enemy, and he's like, and there's always two sides to every story. You know, maybe his family was killed in the fucking rebellion or the revolution or whatever.
Maybe one of his parents was that one that got beat up, got like beat to death at the end there. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy that he literally like walks into this room. There's like these like death gloves hanging right beside him. It's like, if he puts those on, like you're just done, you know?
Yeah.
But he is confident that that's not going to happen.
There's two things with his like blustering there. One is, I think they're laying it on a little bit too thick with like him being the obvious bad guy in this situation. Maybe they'll switch it around with his character. Maybe they won't. But the issue I take is that he's so cruel to the point of that I doubt his self-righteousness is, if that makes sense. Like, and maybe, you know, again, maybe they will go into his whole backstory and that will have like another side to it or something. But in that moment, the way he's like so cruel and taking such a stand and like looking down on them so much, like it's not necessarily unrealistic in that kind of a situation. It just I feel like it's just a little bit too thick in that case. But also the other thing that I was going to say relating to that is I forgot what it was. It was a positive upturn to the end of that criticism that I just gave towards his character. It's not the fact that it is, you know, realistic. It's like, you know, I think I relate more to that guy in real life than I do to like a homeless person, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of that's where my mind goes. It's like, I just think of the drug epidemic in the States and Canada right now and all that stuff, and it's like, you know, I don't hate homeless people. I don't hate drug addicts or anything. I want everything. I want all that stuff to be solved. Everybody to be good. It's just there's two sides to every story. There's a reason that people ended up in that place, or you could think of indigenous people as well. It's like there's a lot of crime on reservations, and there's a lot of crime in like in black neighborhoods and stuff like that in some parts of the States, and it's like, is it right? You know, so this is where I don't relate to this guy, because I can see that there's like a cultural context that is leading towards this kind of inequality, and the reason why there's high crime in these areas that people have to live the lifestyle that they need to live just to survive. It's obvious that, you know, there's hundreds of years leading up to their issues. Exactly. Yeah, there's systemic problems here, and that's clearly what the show is getting to. So this guy, so what Mark is, I'm not saying I relate to that. I started that the wrong way. What I'm saying is like, you know, he reminds me a lot of some of the people that you might hear talking about the drug epidemic or other things like that, or other problems sort of that are, that this is allegorical of, if I'm using that fucking right. I'm sounding like an asshole, but, you know, he like at some point it just feels like the problems are just so big and they're so complicated and they're so detached from you. Like he didn't cause them to be, you know, criminals or whatever. Like that's, so he's viewing it very one-dimensionally, and he thinks that he's the hero and he's surrounded by a bunch of like evil people. So that's why he's acting this way, but he doesn't understand. And it's just like how he's literally the opposite of Vi. How Vi's just like all these fuckers uptown, you know, living their life and doing all this stuff to us, And it's very sort of how we talk about an Attack on Titan. It's like, it's not, who's them, like who's the royal them. The royal them is a bunch of people just kind of living their lives and are just trying to, put their kids through school and, make it through the next day, depending on where you are. On one side, it's obviously one thing. On the other side, it's maybe more distal things that they're trying to do. But what I'm saying is there's kind of two sides to the story, and it doesn't make what Marcus's outlook good, but it adds, I think, some complexity to it, to his kind of response. But also, going back to my first point with him, and with this whole sort of problem, is that's what I meant when I was like, they're laying it on a little bit too thick with him, where it's just like all of this nuance that I think is genuinely there. Like I'm not 100% sure if it's genuinely there, because he was just acting so. I mean, I think it is. I think the idea is that it is, but like with him specifically, he like is so shitty that it's difficult to give him that benefit of the doubt. But also, I think if they do go into his character, they might surprise us with some of his backstory or something, or some sort of visual storytelling that indicates what I'm talking about. But I hope, does any of that kind of make sense with like the kind of, when you're in a revolution, it's like there's two sides to it, and not everybody on either side is bad or good or whatever. Everyone's just trying to look out for themselves or their people. Or
yeah,
whatever.
I guess what I do like about it is that they aren't portraying all of the I don't remember what her name is, but like his superior,
the captain.
Yeah, like I like that she clearly has more of an understanding, because like she views all of these other people as people, and like doesn't want them to get killed and doesn't want to, treat them badly and stuff like that. But she like can't really just like get that across within like a conversation to like her peers. She can't just be like, "Hey Marcus, don't do that," because she keeps saying, "Hey Marcus, we don't do things like that." Yeah. And then he just is like overcome with this frustration of like, I can change things. You're right, it's similar to because he's like, why are we letting all these things slide? Why are we all this crime, like it's right there, like why don't we just arrest them all? And it's like, that's completely unrealistic and like not,
it doesn't actually solve the problem.
It doesn't help anyone. Similar to how on the other side it's like, oh, I like fought this revolution and then everyone just died and we didn't win anyway. So I don't want to do that again, and I don't want anyone that I care about to try and do that again, because the lesson that I learned from that experience, it's like all these people like have had experiences and learned from them and like taken whichever lesson like worked out for them and like what they chose to take from their experiences. But then all of these younger people, like the younger you are, the less of experiences you have. And it's like that 300-year-old little like Furby looking guy. He's like, oh, I've lived 300 years. Don't touch the magic. And then we have all these young guys like, yeah, let's touch the magic. And it's just like, and maybe, it's the kind of thing. It's like, maybe at some point it is the right answer to like go the opposite way of the people that came before you, because doing the same thing will only lead to things staying the exact same. But it's, making uninformed decisions or like really rash, spur of the moment, like, oh, I'm 12 years old, I want to overthrow the government. It's like, maybe you settle down a little bit and like think about things and not just like rush everyone into death, because that's not a good idea. Or like, oh, I want to touch this magic, and it's like, maybe him working with the magic this time, like maybe he's the right guy for the job, or maybe he can be easily influenced by this other dude or someone else and create like the ultimate, he's Oppenheimer over here, you know what I mean? Like, it's this things will happen like with that. It's like, oh, you shouldn't try to create magic with science. It's like, that's very broad, and you're not giving any reasons. You're like, oh, it's bad. Bad things will happen. It's unstable. But all like a young aspiring scientist guy who's like staked his entire life on this is hearing is, I'm old and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what if I'm the guy to do it? What if it's you know, it's literally like in Lord of the Rings, it's like, you know, oh, this
After
ring.
All, why not? Why shouldn't I?
It's like, this ring will corrupt you. And then still, like, half the people are like, what if I took this ring and it didn't corrupt me? And I was just
and I got to wield its power.
And it's like, that's not how it works. In this situation, I'm not sure, maybe things can work out for the better, but it's hard. And now we have Vi in this situation that's kind of the opposite, because she got talked out of what she was feeling all amped up and wanting to be a revolutionary, and now she is basically sacrificing herself for her sister. And like, you know, is that really a good, well thought out option either? No, not really. But it is potentially the least people will get harmed from that.
Yeah. The line between hubris and hope is often a little bit thin, because like, yeah, it's the interplay between those two things is kind of the whole point of the dilemma, because like if risking, you know, it's a risk. If risking things worked out well every time, then it wouldn't be a risk. So like, but that's, you don't know the future, and that's why you need to protect people, and that's why Vander is the way that he is, and why the captain is the way that she is, and why the whole society is the way that they are. But the whole story is kind of about the desire to make a difference, and to, you know, not even make your mark, but just to do the right thing, and to you know, do whatever you can to make the world better. But there's I wonder which way the story is going to take in the end, because like they're setting up this, like, everybody needs to, you know, contribute what they can. Everybody has something to give, and if you just dare to challenge the world, then it'll work out well. But the past has taught us that that's not necessarily true. Maybe this new maybe the theme is just that the future generation, like the will to keep trying, is what will eventually lead to a greater future. Or the will to keep trying is misguided, and learning from history is perhaps the way to go. This, like, I have no enemies, I have become death, the destroyer of worlds type vibe. You know, the line between those things is really what the story is kind of playing with, and I like that, because yeah, it could work out, and at that drive, like, maybe their kids will and the next generation of kids will keep going up, but like the new generation of kids are all orphans because the previous generation did all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And the previous generations before that nearly destroyed civilizations with magic, or completely destroyed civilizations with magic. And now we go down, it seems like there's a downward trend, and we look at the city. And the city, again, like I mentioned this episode, is kind of like a piece of visual storytelling towards that as well, where, you know, when, I guess I'm reading, I feel like this is a spoiler, but I'm reading in the description, his name's Silco. He is in this, like, dilapidated subway mall type, I don't even know what it looks like, a subway system, but there's this, you know, the big archway with the windows and like all this, there's this beast, this like eldritch horrors lurking within this river that is just like passing through and separating the haves and the have-nots, and this, you know, I'm stumbling upon like 5 different ideas as I'm trying to get through this, but like, what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah, the visual storytelling of the whole of that sort of area, this sort of like this self type archetype figure lurking within the depths of this forgotten part of the city, this broken and dilapidated, this forgotten place where that people used to operate and live and possibly you know, work, you know, like this, there's this whole underbelly. So it seems like visual storytelling and what everybody's saying, it's like, it doesn't seem like the hubris of youth is destined exactly for the greater good. It seems like the story might it's leaving room for a darker turn in that way, and I'm actually interested in that, just judging by everything that I just said. But also, like, separate from that, this is kind of a separate thing, just a little bit more analysis. I talked last time about the guy being underground and next to the river, which is this thing, that border that separates the haves from the have-nots, and the uptown from the low town. Is a town called Built On? Built Upon? What is
I
that?
thought it was like. I thought it started with a P, but maybe.
It was just very if I don't know what it's called, but I thought it was called Built On, as in it's built on the backs of the working class type shit. I'm not sure about that, but what I was gonna say was a river being the thing that separates them. First of all, I talked about Vander as a bridge, and possibly Jynx / Powder as like a bridge between these two worlds. It seems like that conception of the story is complicated by Jace being the scientist figure. Now there's like a third sort of main character person there. So that's very interesting. It kind of changes the dynamic that I was expecting with this whole story and this whole setup. But the idea of bridging the gap, bridging the worlds together, that being like sort of a connective sort of symbol there, but also the river. And the story seems, I'm not sure how influenced it is by like Eastern mythology and stuff like that, but you often see it in anime where like the river is a bridge, is a separator between life and death, and like when people die, they cross the river. I think that's Buddhist. I'm not 100% sure, but so
I think that's quite common in like almost any.
Is it? I see it way more in anime. That's why I'm kind of saying it. I see way more in anime than I do in Western stuff. But it is a relatively common symbol. But then there's also, just the symbol of a river is also a symbol for time. I see this a lot more in like all over the place. Not just in anime, but also in Western stuff as well. But like the symbol of it being time, that it moves in one direction, and it's this constant kind of flow, and that kind of lines up well, that kind of idea that this sort of flow of time is separating people, and it's sort of cutting through everybody and sort of creating this divide. I don't know. I was just thinking more about the whole, and then deep beneath the depths, it's like they're hitting it. What I'm trying to get at here, like I feel like a lot of these things are very obvious, so I'm sorry if I'm just sounding like I'm stating the obvious, but like what I'm getting at is the show is really good at like hitting all of these common archetypes very strongly. Like it's like they all of these things feel like they're very thought out, and a lot of times what gets me with stories like this is, or what fails to get me in stories like this is when a lot of these archetypes show up, and a lot of these like common things of like, things lurking beneath the depths, and the evil guy being underground, but also a reflection of the society and scarred by the society and whatever. And all that shit. There's a million that I'm not even mentioning, but a lot of times when you get to archetypal stories like this, or at least the setup, it feels like the writers or the creators are operating off of like sort of a just convention. Like they're just like taking, they've watched Star Wars when they were a kid, they maybe watched The Lion King growing up, or they read this or that book, and they know about King Arthur, and they know about all this stuff, and it's such a common story that is used in all of these things, or Pinocchio, or all Disney stories and everything. Anything you can think of, it's like we are so embedded in this type of story and this type of narrative that when people try to write their own version of it, a lot of it becomes sort of subconscious, and a lot of the symbols become subconscious, and it becomes more about analyzing the author than it does, and the culture that the author comes from, than it does about the actual story and how things are like working together intentionally within the story. So seeing all of the symbols kind of working really strongly and working together, if something about it, and I could be wrong, maybe I'm just looking too deep into it, but a lot of these sort of themes and these symbols that I'm talking about, they seem a lot more intentional than I'm used to seeing in a story like this. Is kind of my point, is that it seems like the way this is written, it feels like it's crafted intentionally and not just a product of the time that the writer grew up in, or the place that the writer grew up in. I'm sure these are factors, obviously, but like the symbols that I'm talking about specifically with like the river and all the, you know, the elfin graveyard type shit, that it feels intentional and it feels like it's on purpose throughout the whole story. So I like all that kind of stuff. What do you have to say?
Absolutely nothing.
Of course you don't. Leave a like and subscribe. Check out Patreon to see the next one now. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
Bye-bye.